Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Special Communities Committee rent setting. This is a hybrid meeting of the Special Communities Committee. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I've agreed the attendance of some members remotely and would remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking, and that includes us in the chamber too. For any members of the public that are watching this meeting, please note that all the public committee reports, including details of the specific recommendations, are available on the Council's website. So if you want to know what we're talking about, it's all available on the Council's website where you can download the reports. Do we have any apologies or substitutes, Fiona?
Yes, Convener, we've got apologies from Councillors Melville and Scott, and Councillor Whiteside is substituting for Councillor Melville. And we've got Councillors Proctor and Stewart joining us remotely. The rest of the members are in the chamber.
Thank you very much. And do we have any declarations or statements of transparency? I'm not seeing any indication, so we'll move on to the agenda then. It's item 3. It's the Housing Capital and Revenue Budget Performance Report. It's on pages 3 to 21 of the papers, and I'd like Catherine to introduce this report.
Thank you, Convener. This report gives the up-to-date spend position for the Housing Capital Plan up to the 31st of December 23 and then a projected outturn position up to the 31st of March this year. You'll see from the report that spend of just over £6 million had been achieved by the 31st of December, and this is expected to reach around £11.4 million by the end of this year. That is an underspend of around £200,000 or less than 2% of the overall budget. You'll see from the report as well that there is some variation in spend across the different categories, with much of the underspend a rephasing of work rather than a reduction in investment. And I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you, Catherine. I'd like to open up to questions then. Anybody got any questions for Catherine on this item? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Any comments? Councillor Duff.
Yeah, thanks, Convener. I've said it at other meetings, but I think the percentage spend is very good, and I think officers to be congratulated on doing that, because that's been a problem for many years, and I think that's a much better. At least we're hitting our targets. They may be less than we would like them to be, but I think given where we are, I think that's a good result.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Councillor Cheap.
Thanks, Convener. Actually, was actually a couple of questions I've got very quickly, if you don't mind. On pages 20, 21, Catherine, just this is more for clarity. On page 20, the smoke alarm upgrades. I know we've been referred to in the report, but bearing in mind we've got a budget of 324,000 this year, we'd only spent 12 at the end of December 2023, but we're saying the outturn is going to be 963. How are we going to do that in 3 months?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Chief. That's a reasonable. That's a reasonable question. Oh, sorry, I'm getting some. Is that a really okay now? Yeah, that's better. We have just let a new contract for the smoke detectors and the LD2s, which only started just towards the end of the year, which is why we're expecting a significantly increased spend in the latter part of this financial year, particularly on that. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. Can I just come back with a second one on page 21, just for clarity again? Under supervision and management, we've got our spend up to December 2023 and then the outturn. And under housing management, we're showing an underspend of £500,000, and then on special services, we're showing an overspend of 529. I'm presuming they've got something to do with each other and one's compensating for the other, or not?
They are related, but sorry, I'm hearing myself back. They are related, but they don't directly compensate for each other. The housing management is more related to the staffing charges, and the special services relates to some of the charges that we pay around energy costs, specifically in the sheltered housing complexes. So there is they do come under the same heading, but they're not directly related. So the housing management is more slippage in terms of our staffing costs.
Great, thanks very much for that clarity.
Councillor Donald.
Thanks, Catherine. This might not be in the papers. I want to ask about the affordable housing that was on the Stuart Milne site in Arbroath. Has that been affected by the Stuart Milne, closing down the site? Do we have any affordable housing, do you know of, that are not completed on that site, if you know?
The Stuart Milne site is not one that appears in the Strategic Housing Investment Plan, so we're not affected by that.
Thank you, Catherine. We move on then to the recommendations if there's no further comments. The recommendations 3.1 is to review and scrutinise the contents of the report and the projected GRM positions. Are we happy to approve the recommendations? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, we move on to agenda item 4, which is the Housing Revenue Account Rate Setting and Budget Strategy 24-25 to 27-28. It's on page 22 of your report. Catherine, would you like to introduce this report, please?
Yeah, thanks, Convener. So this report sets out the HRA budget of the period 24-25 up to 27-28 and seeks approval for rent levels and other associated charges for the coming year. The proposed rent increase for houses, service charges, the St Christopher's Travelling People site, garages, garage sites and stores is 6.7%. And this proposal has been subject to tenant consultation, is considered affordable and sustainable in terms of the Prudential Code, while also ensuring that we continue to deliver our planned investment in our current stock and our new homes. I'm happy to take any questions regarding this report, and colleagues from Finance are also available to speak to anything related to the financial sustainability of the budget strategy.
Thank you, Catherine. Would any members like to ask Catherine a question on this report? Councillor Cheap, and just remember and turn your microphone off, Councillor Cheap, so Catherine doesn't get feedback. Thank
you. Yes, I will. Catherine, just on under section 6 on page 24, section 6.2, we always refer every year to the council's tenant steering group, and to be fair, I always look at this and say, well, we ask for them their input to all of this, and we give them a choice of 4 percentages, and wonder then why they come in with the lowest one. With the 232 votes, 190 went for the lowest. So what I'm really trying to think, I hope we haven't decided on the 6.7% option. Have we got other reasons for pursuing that rather than simply because the council steering group are hoping for it, or they see it as being the cheapest option?
So the 6.7% was taken as a starting point, I suppose, for that discussion with the tenant steering group, because that was the inflation level at the time that we started those conversations. And as you know, traditionally the inflation level has been used as a marker for rent increases, albeit we used to use an inflation +1 for many years in the business plan. So the 6.7% was taken as that kind of starting point for discussion, and the tenant steering group were happy to use that as the baseline. It was the decision of the tenant steering group to have four indices on as part of that consultation, and they were the indices that they chose to go out for consultation on. We have looked at other lower options and whether or not they would be financially affordable, and the determination is that much less than 6.7% is not affordable in terms of the financial sustainability of the plan. And if you want a bit more detail on that, it may be wise to bring my colleague Stephen Mills in.
No, it's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Happy, any further questions for Catherine? I'm not seeing any further questions. Any comments? Councillor Brace.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I've not a lot to say on this, really, but 6.7% increase, we believe, is affordable to our tenants, and it's absolutely necessary. We've had several years of really rampant inflation in the whole building trade, and of course to our housing revenue account for the services we provide to our tenants. We've held previous years' increases below the rate of inflation. We really have to catch up now, and crucially, this 6.7% means that our prudential borrowing in later years of our plan is now affordable, and that's an absolute requirement. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Braze. Do we have any other further comments on this one? Councillor Cheap.
Yeah, thanks again. I think I would just echo exactly what Councillor Brace has said. In the past we have kept rents very low and below inflation, and to be fair, like that happened with council tax, that's no use whatsoever. And I think going forward we have to have realistic rents, and as is in the report, maintaining CPI plus 1% will get us there. But that's absolutely essential to allow future capital development.
Thank you, Councillor Cheap. If there are no further comments, then we'll move to the recommendations. The report on page 22, it's 3.1, and it's 1 to 6. It's to approve, approve, note and approve. Do we agree with those recommendations? Thanks, everybody. That concludes the meeting. Thanks very much.
John, could you stop the live stream, please?